Hello, I'm Mitra Sorrells in the PhocusWire studio, and I am with Zach Ornelas. He is Senior Vice President of Commercial at UATP. Welcome, Zach.
Mitra, thank you so much for having me.
Great. So let's start by talking about the fact that, we know that payments have really evolved from a back office necessity to a strategic advantage. It seems like everybody is talking about payments these days. How would you say that changing traveler expectations and corporate demands are reshaping what innovations in payments really means today?
I think that it really always begins with the consumer, and we see so many new products coming out that are consumer focused, and so much of our lives today are about what is seamless, what is frictionless, How do we move faster, don't slow me down. I love getting out of an Uber and not having to pay. I especially love getting out of an Uber and having it paid for with my UATP card that I don't ever have to touch. I don't have to touch an expense report. I don't have to do any of those things. So each opportunity that we have with specifically the travel market, but really when we think about all types of consumers, business or otherwise, how do we take that friction out? That's the most important thing that we can do. I think the next part of that friction piece is personalization. How do we get into what that specific traveler is trying to accomplish? How do we make sure that they have visibility and access to what they need? In the payment piece should be the afterthought. I should be able to easily reconcile. I should be able to easily spend, and it should track to all the data I need within that transaction.
Yeah, certainly makes sense. Sounds like a much better experience when it operates that way. So, I know that technology has really started to blur the lines between financial services and travel. It's certainly something we cover quite a bit at PhocusWire, what's happening in that space. Where do you see the biggest opportunities for collaboration, let's say between airlines, fintechs, travel platforms, to simplify and really modernize the payment experience?
I think simplification, or simplify, as you just stated, is really, really the crux of it. And that begins with an overall payment strategy. So much money, so much focus is in payment today because people realize that, one, it's something that we touch so many times throughout the day. How many purchases do you make? And then also, there's a lot of money in payment. There's a lot of expense in payment. There's a lot of time in payment. And so the more we can limit that expense, the more that we can limit that time, all huge wins. But it begins with that payment strategy and really defining what does that purchasing journey look like, and where does payment sit within that purchasing journey?
Okay.
When I think about embedded payments, when I think about all the various ways we're looking to pay, it also becomes, what are we doing regionally? What are we doing globally? Payment looks different, sometimes in state to state here in the United States, and certainly throughout the world, region to region. When I'm in South America, I really need to use different types of payment products, oftentimes, than if I'm in the UK, for instance.
Right.
And when I'm trying to communicate to my customer, I really have to make sure that I'm providing the method that they want to use and that they trust. Trust is huge in payment.
Yeah, very good point. So, we know UATP has been around a long time, really been kind of a cornerstone of the travel payments ecosystem. As technologies like virtual cards and real-time payments and AI continue to be implemented, how is UATP positioning itself to really remain a critical piece for the partners and for the wider travel ecosystem?
Yeah, we have been around a long time. We might be one of the oldest companies at this conference. I really think about the legacy of UATP and the fact that we started off with the one bin. So the number one of the credit card that talks about how old we are, but really not how old we are, how experienced we are. And one of the unique things about UATP is, how do we bridge legacy systems? We can still talk to green screen because so many airlines rely on their back office programs as green screen. And then we can talk all the way into modern fintech payment technology. And it's about, how do we get each one of those brands, each one of those entities, and each stop along a payment chain to communicate together. We at UATP, like we still talk to black and green screen, being able to talk to the future and plan for the future is what's huge. We invest a lot in things like virtual technology. Our virtual card has the best control, the most transparency, the lowest fees in the marketplace. And it's always about looking forward. And the last thing I would say to that point is, it's really about being local.
Okay.
How do I best connect to my customer with where they are, the way they want to spend, and providing them a platform that they truly trust?
Yeah. All right. Well, wonderful. Zach Ornelas from UATP. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me in. This is fun.
All right. Take care. Thank you.